Welcome to Reinventing the Arena, the podcast that guides you through the powerful journey of aligning, embodying, and rising into your most authentic self. We dive deep into the transformative power of doing the inner work because the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. When you align with your authentic self, you naturally attract the relationships and experiences meant for you. I'm your host, Molly Connolly, a coach who's passionate about helping you uncover who you truly are using human design, NLP, and self-empowerment tools. Here we explore the art of aligning with your authentic self, embodying your highest potential, and rising above old patterns to create a life that resonates with who you truly are. Whether you're seeking deeper fulfillment in love or your personal journey, this space is designed to inspire your evolution. Together, we'll explore self-discovery, share transformational stories, and uncover the energetic shifts needed to create the love and life you truly desire. This isn't just about change. It's about fully stepping into who you were meant to be. So, lady, align, embody, and rise. Welcome to your journey of self-transformation. Welcome to Reinventing the Arena. Hello there, ladies, and welcome back to another episode of Reinventing the Arena. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for listening. If you want, you can go back to the previous season and listen to hear more about human design, NLP, and self-transformational work. Human design and all the energetics and NLP is something that I have been interested in a long time, and over the last year or so, I've really stepped into that, adding it into my coaching business, which is why we are talking about it on the podcast this season and last season. So today, what I want to discuss is a belief that a client came to me with and centered around human design, actually. People have said it in numerous ways, but it really comes down to when people say, "Oh, I'm a manifesting generator. I know all about that." Or "I'm a projector," or "I'm a reflector." And they just blurt out their energy type as if we took those BuzzFeed quizzes where it's like, "What pizza are you?" No, like that is barely even touching into human design. And so I just want to discuss that mentality because it took a little while for this client to understand that she was more than just an energy type. And when we had worked together, the complexities of human design really come out because when you start learning about human design, you realize that the easiest way to explain this is the science of differentiation. I like to talk about it as your discovery to your uniqueness. Because when we look at their life and just separating it away from human design, especially if you're new, this will be super easy. It's like, okay, your name, that's a label. If you are a wife, husband, if you're someone's kid. So we look at all these labels that are put upon us just based off of being a human. Um, you know, you're XYZ fan because you live in this state or you live in this country or you grew up around this sport or you always watched this TV, so you're a fan of that. All those different sort of labels that we put on ourselves that we then say, this is who I am, this is my identity, is a form of honestly conditioning. And we can also look at it and say, okay, even though we are a compile of all these things that condition of who I am and who I really could be, might not be, also is showing you that you're more than just one thing. So when we look at it in human design terms and we look like, okay, here's your energy type, that is just the beginning of who you are. That is the outer layer of who you are. When I sit with clients, especially if it's or even if it's a person's first human design reading, I kind of have to walk them through kind of like a metaphor of what your human design chart is. I might have mentioned this in previous episodes, especially in maybe one of the embodiment episodes, but we would really want to talk about how you are a variety of layers. And one of the easiest ways to show and explain this to you is if you actually have your chart in front of you. So if you don't have your chart right now, I highly suggest go to my website, reinventingthearena.com. And on the home page, you will find a place to download your human design chart and an energy report. And this is something that I am going to be referencing for the rest of this season. So if you have it already, that's wonderful. Go ahead and pull that up. Take a screenshot of your chart if you want to save time and keep that in your photos. Whatever you can do in order to refer to that, or even listen to this podcast, come back to it, refer to your chart as you listen to it a second time, will be really helpful for you as we move through this season. When we look at the chart, your outer layer is your energy type. And I want you to think about it as an onion. And it has layers, right? It has the protective layer. It has that first layer that sometimes is like not usable for any sort of thing. And then we further get in, and there's like the juicier parts of the onion that, make you cry a little bit depending on how fresh your onion is. So it has layers, and each one brings you closer to your true self. So on the outer layer, that is what your energy type is. It's how your energy moves naturally every day through the world. It includes things like your strategy, the way you engage with life, your signature and not self theme, and it helps you recognize when you're aligned or when you're not. If even though you are an energy type of like, let's say, I'm just going to use generator because that's what I am. And when I look at a variety of people that I have in my life, as well as clients, and people from past human design readings, when I look at their charts and their generators, they have a completely different makeup from me because what is so fun is you get to see all the 9 centers and which ones are defined, which ones have gates defined, which ones have channels, which ones do not. And that really is the more complex part, like the next few layers within your human design chart. For example, let's see, I have 6 different charts that I'm looking at right now, and each of them is completely unique to them. And I can even like try to make it not as unique. And if I could just look at the centers, no single person has the same combination of centers defined. Not any of them, but they're all generators. So you would think, based off of this belief, if you just wanted to say, oh, I'm this energy type, that they would be all the same. The only thing that is true, if we want to look at the centers, if they're defined or undefined, the only energy type that really works with is reflectors, because all reflectors have undefined or open energy centers. But then, of course, there's the nuances of then the gates and hanging gates for them. So why do I say this is like part of a belief system? This is because your energy type, first of all, carries so much information about you, but it really doesn't end there. And like I've already mentioned about the centers, we're actually going to get into the centers in a different podcast because maybe it might even be 2 episodes because the centers are so unique and helpful for part of, examining your conditioning, examining your identity, who you really are, your strengths, um, areas of wisdom, areas of opportunity. And I love playing with them um, for myself and then with my clients as well. But like I said, within your energy type, there's your strategy and your self, or also called your signature theme, and your not self theme. What is interesting then is, like I said, your centers, certain centers can be defined, but same with your authority. Your authority can be completely different. And if I just look at these 6 people's charts, for example, for me with my chart, I'm considered what's a pure generator, which means that my strategy is a sacral strategy and my authority is sacral authority. But I'm looking through here and I see someone that has an emotional generator. So I have someone that actually has emotional authority, even with their sacral defined. So you can have maybe a different authority. I even can go to a manifesting generator and I can see if they are pure or if they have an emotional authority. And just like I've mentioned this before on different podcast episodes, that 70% of people nowadays, they're a generator type. So that either means that they're a generator or a manifesting generator. And so when I look at even some of the manifestors in my life, that I have coached before or given a reading to, there's an emotional manifesting generator or a splenic authority manifesting generator. So even with the two projectors that I just pulled up, I have one that is a splenic projector, just like I mentioned with the manifestor, having splenic authority. So these can be a variety of combinations once we even just tap into your authority, because the authority is also in relation to how your centers are defined. But once again, your human design chart doesn't stop there. This is where things get deep. We talk about your profile types, which this is more about your personality. We can dive in more into the undefined and open centers you may have, which then brings us to the gates. Which ones are defined? Which ones are undefined? The channels, when two gates come together and make a channel, then defining two centers. We can talk about the unconscious and the conscious gates, how different those are, as well as what the lines are. So when you look at your chart, you might see at the top right corner 35.1. And you see it's up atop and it's got this little symbol. That symbol is your sun. So, what does the planet even have to do with this gate? What does the point one mean? It goes so further into depth than just, like I said, your energy type. All of these layer on top of themselves and really brings out your complete uniqueness. Like I said, each of these creates another layer of that onion to get into the truth of you, your true self. So, why am I bringing this up on the podcast? I might have mentioned it before in others, but as you might have noticed, and I kind of said it last week, was the world is kind of on fire right now. And we're being asked of ourselves to really examine our belief system, to really review what feels true to us. So there's a lot of inner work that should have been done. I'm going to be really hate saying that should, but should have been done over the last several years. I would say 2020 and forward. A lot of inner work has been needed to be looked at. And with the world, our external world being on fire, things happening, it's actually pushing us, triggering us in certain ways to things that maybe we haven't actually been working on. And when we have those moments that are triggering us, it's asking us to do some inner work. Why is this bothering you? Where is this coming from? Why is this belief getting really, really strong? Is it actually yours to believe? Things like that. Things to explore. As we continue to move forward in life, we're going to be asked to move away from a sense of belonging of others. This is part of a deeper, more expansive part of human design that I haven't really tapped into here on the podcast. I'm just going to briefly discuss it, but this would be more aligned with some of the astrology areas that people might be discussing. So if this is something in your wheelhouse of astrology, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in human design, we're moving out of a certain realm and into another based off of how certain planets have been aligned for so long and how those have been in certain gates. And we're moving into a sense of individuality. And for some people, this brings up a feeling of, and this is specifically people that are my clients that I've worked with over the last several months. The individuality feels really concerning or feeling like, but my community is so important to me, especially if someone's like a 2-4 or having any sort of 4 in their chart as their profile type. It would make sense that this would be something you would hear and be like, "Oh my god, what are you talking about?" It's really moving us to explore ourselves in a deeper way, to really shine and be our true selves. Yes, the authenticity thing, I love the authenticity. If you've been around here for a while, you know that that's been a thing, but it's kind of been something that people have been jumping on a bandwagon lately over the last several months, if I would not say even last year. But authenticity in a way that's really holding integrity, really being true to yourself. Using your design to help solidify that is one way to help ground you into this next movement. So, Even if the desire to belong with family, friends, your job, your current identity that really might not be working for you, that is completely understandable. Change can be tough. And I mean, like on my last episode, I discussed my gate 32 is in Pluto, which depending on when you were born, that might also be yours. Because Pluto stays in gate for quite a bit of time. So even as we're moving through this desire from belonging into individuality, it makes sense why this could be difficult for some of us, especially with how we were raised as like all of us, honestly, all human beings are desired to belong and to connect to their parents, to their family, to their immediate community. And it's actually how our human brain is wired for connection and how that's wired for survival. So, learning about yourself and developing a connection to yourself and really anchoring in to who you truly are is important, especially as the outside world continues to be in chaos and on fire. And when I hear other people starting to continue to label themselves, it is a reminder to go within and ask yourself, did you put that label on you or did someone else? And is that a label that you want to keep? Is this a label you want to explore? Because really, the only person keeping you in a box is you. And when you look at your chart, you can see just how amazing you are and how unique you really are. And as you look at your chart, you can see areas that maybe you're like, oh, I really want to explore or experiment with this. And others, you might say, oh, this makes sense of where XYZ conditioning comes from. Or even say, I didn't realize that was a strength of mine. And I can now reflect back and see up on XYZ experience how much this really has been a strength of mine. Or my best friend sees this in me and I don't know where it comes from. But oops, it's right there in my chart. These are the little things that help you start to honor yourself, to trust yourself, to really sit with you and say, I am such a unique individual. I can make an impact on the world or an impact in my community, or me just being me allows my significant other to show up better, or it allows my family to step in and take over something if I say I'm communicating from a sense of, hey, I need to take care of myself. I can no longer do X, Y, and Z. So removing yourself from the box, even the container of saying, this is my energy type. I'm a manifester. I'm a manifesting generator. I'm a generator, projector, a reflector. Removing yourself from the box, even in the basics parts of human design, is going to allow you to have expansion. So I just wanted to come in here and tell you guys all of that because the growth that you can have as an individual is so important, not just for yourself, but for the community at large. I just explained this to a friend of mine where obviously we're, like I said, go internal, look at what's going on in your chart where you can explore all that. And the closer we get to our inner work, to being our true selves, is important because we start then to manifest things. It's another belief that I had to discuss with a client and actually overheard at a networking event. And I didn't even want to like jump in to talk about this um, because it just really wasn't my time to do so. But the more you are really in alignment with yourself, the more things do fall into place. The more you start seeing where you're being pulled versus pushed, where you feel like you're forcing yourself versus it naturally is happening for you. Um, so, can you imagine sitting at a table right now and having one of those 1,000-piece puzzles and you shake it up in the box? I do wish I had a box to make this noise. And you remove the top and you pour them all out, all the pieces onto the table. Okay? I don't want you to touch them. I just want you to see them. And it's supposed to make this beautiful landscape. And you look at the box lid, you see what it's supposed to be, and you notice that a few of the puzzle pieces are actually connected. Because that's why we shake it up, right? To make sure that it's all broken up just in case to like not give you an easy way to start. But there's a few that are still connected. You leave and set those alone. All of these puzzle pieces is every single human being in this world, okay? The two that are connected, those are people that are in alignment. Those are people really living their authentic truth. All the other puzzle pieces are people that haven't bothered to do the inner work, that are like, I don't fucking need therapy. No, I don't need to go do that. Like, fine, go ahead, project onto other people, blame other people. That's fine. You're not growing. Oh, the reason why my life sucks is because my job is this and I don't get paid enough money. Okay, well, if that's so important to you, what's holding you back from taking the next step? Oh, but there's no jobs, and you can keep telling yourself all the things. You can explore, though, of what's really available to you and where these beliefs come from. That means that those pieces, those puzzle pieces, are people that are stuck in their minds. They're in belief systems, they're in interpretations, assumptions, going back through past memories, through other things that have hold them back and saying they can't do something, can't have something, they're not enough, whatever. All of those, they are limiting their potential. Okay? Human design is about getting into the body, which is part of that whole chart of the onion. You get into the layers, you keep going inward and inward and inward. And getting into the body and starting to connect and starting to see what's really there for you to explore, to experiment with, to remove the conditioning, allows other puzzle pieces that are doing the exact same thing come into your world. Maybe it's supposed to fit with yours, maybe it's not. But maybe it comes over there and you're trying to fit it together, but instead it realizes there's a different puzzle piece right next to it that it's more aligned to, that it actually connects with. So the more that people do this, the next thing you know, the puzzle pieces start to fit together. The alignment starts to happen for multiple people. Things in the external world start to shift. The frequency of other people starts to shift. And we move away from chaos, anger, hate, all lower vibration energetics, emotions, and into a place where, oh, this is my truth. This is who I am. I'm actually not this angry person. I'm actually, removing the blame from my mother for being this way and realize I could not control that. That was part of her conditioning, part of her lessons. And I'm taking what happened to me and I'm reviewing that and I'm working through it on my own and exploring what that means to me. Is that part of my greater purpose? Is me learning this about myself, unlocking something completely different? And moving through that whole piece of forgiveness, removing guilt, removing shame, moving into higher frequencies of acceptance, awareness, even, and then moving into things like unconditional love as we tap into authenticity. You changing and working through going into those internal layers of more than just your energy type brings in that awareness, lets in light for you to say, oh, I'm going to shine a light on this sad moment in my life. I need to work on this. Or, oh my gosh, my money belief system is off of this. I need to do work on that if I really want this to be different. So, as we move forward, if we've done the work, we're currently moving through life a little bit differently than those who are not or haven't done the work yet. And the people that haven't are being forced to have a wake up call. So, as we continue to explore into what's going on externally, we need to be diving more internally. This is why looking more than just your energy type is so important. Okay, I hope that helps, first of all, the discussion of why, A, your energy type is more than just your energy type. B, that human design is more about internal, leaving your mind behind for a majority of us, and looking internal. Because yes, there are some people that have their head and ajna connected through a channel, but it's still about getting into their body. Next, knowing that we're moving through something big right now. I am not an astrologer. I do not study astrology, but I highly recommend that if you want to get some glimpses in it, there are numerous people you can look into just to be like, what's going on in this world? Because it is kind of fascinating sometimes when you look back and be like, oh, this actually aligns with this and it actually aligns with that. And then noticing that honestly, with human design, How the planets are moving is A, how you were born, and B, they're continuing to move. So they continuing to affect you no matter what your chart currently has. So looking into your chart, allowing you to say, oh, I'm actually more curious about my strategy and authority, and embodying those two can start also to move things in the direction that it needs to go for you. All right. I hope that was helpful. If you do not have your chart, I'm going to say it again. Go to my website, download your chart and your energy report. And within that energy report, which is 11 pages, by the way, you're not only going to get your chart, you're going to get some of these higher level areas, such as your strategy, your authority, your signature theme, which is your self theme, and your not self theme, as well as touching on your profile type. I will be diving into profile types as well this season. So stay tuned for that, because every single ounce of this is a layer deeper and deeper. And as I've explored this with clients and with people who have come on for a human design reading, those areas are the most important for us to really work through because they are foundational. If you want to do the foundational work, I highly recommend starting there. Get a reading from me if you would like, so we can go over those. Experiment with some of the things that I've mentioned in the energy report. But if you want to go deeper and you want to do things at more of an accelerated pace and actually have accountability and support, I highly recommend looking into coaching with me so we can move through those different areas that may be holding you back and at a faster pace than just a reading alone. All right, lady, have a good rest of your day, and I will be back in 2 weeks. I am debating if I'm going to be doing centers or profile types because I really want to do both, and I can't do them both because I don't have time to record all of it. And then I'm so excited. Brad is definitely coming on the podcast soon. Hopefully that podcast will come out later in April, and if not, we will try for early May. So thank you for listening, and I cannot wait to chat with you again. Thank you, lady, for joining me on this journey of aligning, embodying, and rising into your most authentic self. Remember, the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. And when you do the inner work, you naturally attract the love and life meant for you. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to rate and review the show. Your feedback not only helps more women discover the power of self-transformation, but also helps us grow this community. If you're ready to go deeper and align with a relationship and life you truly desire, I invite you to explore my coaching services. Together, we'll use human design, NLP techniques, and self-empowerment tools to help you break through old patterns and create a life that resonates with who you truly are. Visit reinventingthearena.com to learn more and take the next steps in your journey of self-discovery and alignment. Until next time, lady, keep aligning, keep embodying, and keep rising. Thanks for listening to Reinventing the Arena.